October 1887. A family stands before their entire winter food supply. Potatoes, carrots, apples, salted pork, crocks of butter. Every calorie they'll eat for the next 6 months is right here. There is no refrigerator, no grocery store, no backup plan. If something goes wrong, this family starves. Their only hope is a dark underground room that most of us have completely forgotten. A single harvest decides everything. In late autumn, the fields erupt with potatoes, carrots, apples, onions, so much food that it barely fits into the wagons. But the celebration is brief. There is no second chance. Every sack, every barrel, every jar must last until spring. The family gathers in the barn, counting and sorting by lantern light. The ledger comes out, names, weights, careful tallies scratched in pencil. Potatoes, 400 pounds, carrots, 200, apples, just enough to fill a few crates. Salted pork packed away in heavy crocks. Butter sealed under a layer of brine. Each entry is a calculation. How many mouths, how many days, how many ways can things go wrong? Children stack baskets in neat rows while the mother checks for bruises and rot. The father inspects the sacks for holes, one tear, and rodents could wipe out a week's food overnight. The youngest watches, wide-eyed, as the cellar door swings open. The air inside is cold and damp, the darkness thick as wool. The first frosts are already biting at the edges of the fields. Once winter closes in, nothing more will come out of the ground until May. If a barrel leaks, if a batch spoils, there is no store to fill the gap. Every family knows the math. 6 months of survival measured by what can be hidden beneath their feet. The rush to fill the cellar is not just about work. It is about the difference between plenty and hunger, between comfort and fear. A cellar is not just a hole in the ground. It is a tool built with intent, passed from generation to generation and adapted by people from every corner of the world. In Norway, turf cellars hunker beneath grassy slopes, their stone walls pressed tight against the earth, holding the cold like a secret. In New England, farmers carve chambers into hillsides, lining them with granite pulled from the fields. Across the ocean in Japan, thick-walled kura storehouses use packed clay and sand to shield rice and vegetables from summer heat and winter frost. German and Scandinavian immigrants brought these ideas to America, shaping the first cellars in the Midwest and Northeast. Each design reflects a deep understanding of the land, how stone, soil, and timber can be arranged to guard against rot, mold, and hungry animals. What looks like a simple, dark room is actually the product of centuries of trial and error. A cellar's shape, its materials, even the way its door fits, all are tuned to the rhythms of climate and crop. In some towns, entire blocks of communal spring cellars were built, their doors set close together like silent sentinels. Families trusted these spaces with their survival. The cellar stands as proof that long before electricity, people learned to work with the earth itself, turning it into a living machine for preservation. The question remains, how do these buried rooms really work? The answer lies deeper in the science of earth, air, and time. Deep beneath the frost line, the earth becomes more than shelter. It becomes a silent machine. At a depth of 6 to 8 feet, soil temperature settles into a narrow band, hovering between 45 and 55 degrees Fahrenheit, no matter how wild the weather above. The reason is thermal mass. Layers of earth absorb heat slowly, releasing it just as gradually, smoothing out the wild swings of summer and winter. In a well-built cellar, daily temperature shifts rarely exceed 4 degrees, even when the air outside plunges from a January freeze to an April thaw. Humidity is just as important. Root vegetables need the air thick with moisture, 85 to 95% relative humidity, to stay plump and alive. Too dry, and they shrivel. Too wet, and mold creeps in. The darkness matters too. Light triggers potatoes and carrots to sprout, draining their energy before spring. In the pitch black, those processes slow to a crawl. But even perfect temperature and humidity are not enough. Apples, for example, release ethylene gas, a silent signal that can send potatoes and carrots into a frenzy of sprouting. That is why airflow is crucial. Near the floor and a high vent near the ceiling create a gentle current, flushing out stale air and keeping ethylene in check. USDA experiments from the early 1900s measured this effect. Just 1 or 2 air changes per hour are enough to keep produce dormant and fresh. The cellar works because every element, including temperature, moisture, darkness, and air, moves in careful balance. It is not luck. It is physics harnessed beneath our feet. Every region carved its own answer into the ground. In the Midwest, cellars often stretch 6 to 8 feet deep, their walls built from brick or fieldstone a foot thick or more. The mass of those walls wasn't just for strength, it was insurance against wild temperature swings. A floor might slope gently, just 1 inch for every 4 feet, so meltwater or seepage would trickle toward a gravel-filled trench and out, never pooling near the food. In New England, hillside cellars hugged the earth, with stone arches framing the entrance and buttressed corners holding back the weight of soil. Builders set vents in pairs, a low intake near the floor and a high exhaust near the ceiling. This simple arrangement coaxed a slow, steady draft, enough to carry away the gases that could ruin a crop. Some vent caps were hand-fitted from tin or stone, designed to snap tight against rain or rodents. HABS blueprints from 1895 show a spring cellar with a water channel running along one wall, keeping the air cool and damp. Inside, wooden shelves and bins line the walls, each tailored for a different crop. Apples in a stone alcove, potatoes packed in sand, onions hanging from rafters. Even the door mattered. Heavy timber, sometimes lined with metal or layered with straw, sealed with a thick latch. Each detail was a choice, hammered out in wood and stone to make the laws of physics work for survival. Every shelf and bin in the cellar has its own assignment. Potatoes lie buried in sand, 3 or 4 inches deep, each layer cushioned to hold moisture and block the light. Carrots and beets nestle in damp sawdust, their skins cool and crisp, protected from shriveling by the heavy air. Turnips and parsnips get their own corners, packed in straw or peat, because too much damp can rot them, but too little leaves them rubbery and weak. Onions and garlic hang from the rafters, far from the wet bins below. Their skins need dry, moving air, and too much humidity will first show as a soft spot, then a collapse. Apples fill wooden crates stacked along the coldest wall, never mixed with potatoes or carrots. One bruised apple can send out ethylene gas, a silent warning that triggers sprouting and rot in every root nearby. Butter and cheese rest in the coolest, darkest nook, wrapped tight in cloth and sometimes buried in sawdust or sand to keep them fresh. Salted pork and smoked hams hang above the barrels, safe in brine or smoke, the salt and cold working together to hold back decay. Glass jars of pickles and crocks of sauerkraut line the back shelf, their tang and salt a hedge against the hunger of late winter. Each food has its own rules, its own risks. The cellar is not a single room, but a living map of zones, wet, dry, cold, and airy, each chosen for what it can save and what it might lose. Trouble in the cellar never waits for an invitation. One spring, Martha Miller scribbled a warning in her diary: mice restless, traps set, barley baited. A single night with the vent cracked open, and by morning, black-eyed sprouts pierced through a week's worth of potatoes, ruined, just like that. Mold is another silent invader. After a July thunderstorm, damp air clings to the walls, and a thin white fuzz creeps across the apple crates. The family scrubs with vinegar rags, hoping to save what's left. Sometimes the threat comes all at once. In 1913, the Ohio River swelled 3 feet above its banks, pouring muddy water into cellar doors and drowning whole harvests. Bins of carrots and potatoes floated in the dark, lost to rot before help could arrive. Community kitchens opened, neighbors shared what little remained, but the lesson was clear. One mistake, one storm, and a season's work could vanish overnight. The cellar demanded constant vigilance, a battle fought in shadows, with every meal hanging in the balance. A block of ice arrives on the wagon, sweating in the summer heat. The ice box sits in the kitchen corner, its metal lining promising a taste of winter even in July. But the promise comes with a price. Melting ice means daily deliveries, a constant race against time and temperature. Ice routes snake through town, each house waiting for the clatter of tongs and the sharp crack as another chunk drops into place. Advertisements in 1918 paint a different picture: gleaming electric refrigerators, doors thrown open to reveal spotless shelves and fresh milk. The text boasts of pure, continuous cold, no rodents, no mold, no need to sweep out the cellar or check for leaks. Public health pamphlets hammer the point. The cellar is dark and dangerous, breeding grounds for disease. In these pages, the cellar becomes a relic, the refrigerator a badge of progress. But even as electric models spread, the question lingers in the background. What happens if the ice melts, the power flickers, or the truck never comes? The cellar endures, silent and unglamorous, a backup plan buried in the earth. Even now, every meal depends on cold chains and steady power. The Earth's ancient answer still waits below our feet, reminding us that resilience isn't just technology, it's knowledge we can lose. How much do we still remember?